It's the MythWits, a geek pop culture web series, broadcast live for video and audio podcasts. Watch us live at MythWits.com and find us on YouTube and iTunes, bringing you news and reviews about geek pop culture. We have comedy skits, play nerd-tastic games, and provide extensive on-location con coverage. And now, your hosts. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the MythWits, another fine episode. Before we get started, this show is not safe for work, so if you have sensitive ears or in a place where you can't hear dirty words or adult content, please listen at another time.
Hey, Pete.
Yeah, what's up?
Is this show safe for, say, a human bitten by a werewolf and then a vampire in the same night and then drained down to torpor and then mummified? Can we do anything for them? I mean, would it be safe or unsafe for them?
It would be totally safe for them. I think this show would be right up their alley. They might be entertained. Get them some blood-covered popcorn or something, might be good.
I guess they got bigger problems.
Yeah, yes. They got that terrible rash, All right, so today we're recording off schedule. So if you're seeing this is not a live show. It's recorded live, but it's not being broadcast live at the moment. That has a lot to do with our guest and where he lives, because we reached out across the globe.
Great state of Georgia here,
which is another reason why Allegra.
Yeah,
was it?
Yeah, not the American Georgia. Yeah, the other Georgia.
Right, the other Georgia.
The other Georgia.
So,
As we have to say,
the former GSSR.
Yeah.
So this week we are not being joined, or on this episode we're not being joined by Brian or Allegra. They could not make it on this schedule. My co-host this week is Mike Kafis. Oh, yes. It's morning. It's morning this time. And today we are joined by Mark. And I'm going to get ready to... It's the drinking game. Mark Rein-Hagen. Is that right?
Rein-Hagen.
Okay, it was close.
Drink.
Yeah, drink. I've stopped.
Pete mispronounces something, Mark, you got to have something ready to drink. And since it's nighttime where you are, it better be something strong.
So... Mark, hold on. Let me get this going. Boop, get that going. Get Mark up on the big screen. So Mark, you may or may not have heard his name before, but if you are a role player, you have probably role played one of his games. He currently runs a company called Make Believe Games. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah. I'm glad you can make it. So Mark is, as we said, is in the great country of Georgia. And how do you pronounce the city? It's here we go. Here's another drinking opportunity. Tbilisi? Fuck, I don't know. Drink.
Tbilisi.
What's
Drink.
that?
It's Tbilisi.
Tbilisi. Very cool.
Tbilisi. Yeah.
Now, Mark, you have a very American-sounding accent, so you are American. What brings you to those parts of the world?
Well, I met my wife in New York like 10 years ago, and after we got married, we were deciding where we wanted to live, and I said, well, I haven't been to that part of the world, and I want to explore Central Asia and the Middle East, and so why didn't we go to your place for a year? And here I am 9 years later, and still here, still awesome.
Yeah, cool. When I got married, my first wife, she yanked me to the other side of town and never moved either. Huh? I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it's totally the same.
Yeah. Totes.
But I had a consulting, before I got back into the games, I had a sort of a consulting gig here in sort of politics and media in various countries. So it was very fascinating, especially during the height of the Iraq War. Just going through the region and doing stuff, and it was it's just a really fascinating part of the world. There's a lot going on, and Tbilisi in Georgia is generally a very peaceful, safe enclave, and in fact, it's where a lot of people who are in more dangerous places come to relax. So we have a huge expat community, and it's like living in this really intellectual small town in the middle of a cosmopolitan city. I absolutely love it.
Huh.
That's cool. That's cool. Now, just to give me a little reference, is it so? I've been to say Prague. If you, I don't know if you've ever been to Prague, but anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Prague was in the early 90s, which was, they compared to like Paris between the wars. We often say that we're like Casablanca, you know? You never know who you're talking to if they're a spy. And even if you do know, even if you suspect they're a spy, you don't really know who they're working for at that moment, you know?
Right.
But they're still good people.
Yeah, they're still good people. They're just a triple A, you know? And they might not even know who they're working for anymore.
That's true.
You know, everyone's taking money from everyone, and it's just all mixed up. You know, you have, you know, the Russians have people here, the Iranians, the Iraqis, the Saudis, all the Europeans. You know, the Chinese. You know, it's basically if you want to get oil in and out of Central Asia and not go through Russia, you got to go through Georgia. Everything has to go through Georgia.
Ah,
so
okay.
Key leverage place is also the closest sort of safe place to the Middle East. So, you know, we're just an hour from Syria, you know.
Jeez.
So basically, I knew that war was happening like a few days before everyone else because all my friends disappeared from the bar.
Oh God.
You know, suddenly, you know, all the guys are gone. All the base is empty. Yeah. You can kind of figure out what's going on.
Right, yeah. That's amazing.
What is it like culturally, like as an American in Georgia?
I mean, when Misha Saakashvili was president, who I worked for, he was very, very Western oriented, and so, you know, for a while here, it was to the ridiculous point that, you know, you couldn't really get arrested. You couldn't have, you know, foreigners especially Americans, were left alone. Now that's changed a little bit, and we're more like regular people again, which is fine by me.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, it used to be everyone spoke Russian. Now pretty much everyone under 30 speaks English. It's you know, they know what the future is. They know it's English. So it's pretty easy to live here. You know, every restaurant has an English menu. The staff speak English everywhere you go. It's you know, it's
sweet.
I mean, taxi drivers you got to know, but I mean, it's great. I mean, a beer in a bar is $2, if that.
Right.
You know, taxi ride is generally $2 to anywhere. You know, I mean, it's just ridiculously easy to live here, and it's very, very beautiful.
Huh.
It's one of the. I've been all over the world, and I consider this to be one of the most beautiful countries I've ever been to.
Cool. So next time I get over to the Europe side of the world, maybe for work or something, I'll take like a long
Stop
weekend.
in, man. I got plenty of room. You can crash.
Sweet. That'd be awesome. I love going places like that. Prague was really, really cool. That was a neat little excursion. We were working in Germany, and we jumped in the car and went, and it was like 2 hours, and we were in Prague, and it was really, really cool. All right, so
since we didn't have Mark on to talk about the culture in Georgia right now, what did we have Mark on to talk about?
All right, so so Mark, I think your biggest, I think it's fair to say your biggest claim to fame would be a little game called Vampire the Masquerade. Hoping to change that with some of your new stuff, which is cool.
As if my foreshadowing intro didn't give it away a little bit.
Right. And we'll definitely talk about that. We'll definitely spend some time on that. I just want to set the grounds up. So Vampire, so you came up with Vampire, right? Is that correct to say?
Yeah. I mean, the whole World of Darkness is basically, you know, and Vampire the Masquerade are sort of, you know, all invented in one 9-month insane writing frenzy, you know?
Right.
But it had been brewing in me a long time, but yeah, it was a very intense 9 months.
So it's safe to say you birthed it.
Yeah, I made it up. Yeah.
From the head of Zeus.
Yeah, 9 months, and then it crowned right on out of you.
Yeah. Anne Rice had me escorted from one of her Halloween parties because she thought that I had stolen it from her. But actually, I purposely did not read any of her books until I was most of the way through the writing process. You know, but to be fair, a lot of the '80s vampire movies they did steal from her,
Right.
and I stole from them. So,
Oh, okay. So
as a,
you stole from her by proxy.
yeah, I think, obviously, but I think it's part of the zeitgeist as well. You know, the whole idea of vampire movies, you know, by the '70s have kind of shifted from, you know, the gothic Victorian idea and then people were updating them to the modern day, you know, and that's basically what Anne Rice did as well. She just did it better than anyone else.
Right. Yeah, she did a good job. Yeah, the only like the only thing that stands out in my mind that is very Rice-ish, I think, would be
Ricey?
would be the generation thing. Like being an older generation makes you more powerful.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, what Vampire Societies? That's not. She didn't invent that. I mean, that's
No, she doesn't have a society. There's almost no vampires in the world.
right.
It's like her world. There's like 100 vampires and maybe 200, and you know, there's just not that many. And so yeah, I brought in the whole idea of you know, politics. It just seemed to fit. Also, frankly, I love political games. You know,
Right. Right.
that's what I dig. And I think it's in role playing, it's more fun to role play politics than combat. You know,
Yes.
video games do combat well. Board games, war games can do combat okay, but role playing games, I think combat is not what they do well.
Right.
But
I mean,
players do. That was
I say this all the time. You know, like a good role-playing game has to have an equal amount of ROLL and ROLE, and you know, I say that now after experiencing. I think probably when we first started playing Vampire many moons ago, that it was one of the first games where they said, "All right, now look, understand, there's going to be more ROLEing around here. You know what I mean? You're going to have to, you know, yeah, you'll use some skills as far as, you know, obviously, but it was like, you know, I just remember thinking, oh, I don't know if I want to like this, because I was more, you know, at that point, I think, you know, we had just come off of campaigns where we were just like roll, and rolling dice, but I think it attracted me with the dice pulling and everything else as well. Anyway, but I think it turned out to be equally, you know, satisfying and challenging. So I really enjoyed it.
cool. Glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it worked.
Yes.
That's actually one of my main goals. Is to sort of, you know, not to say, oh, hey, ignore all the dice. You don't need dice. Just roll through the time. I don't think that works. You know,
Right.
you know, you want to have that balance between the game experience. You want to be able to tweak the rules, you know, because it makes you feel like, you know, you have something to worry about and fight against. You want that tension. You need the game stuff, but you know, you need to have story as well, and you need to have role playing, and you definitely need immersion. Like for me, if I can't feel like I'm in this world, then I generally don't want to waste my time playing it.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just, you know, I had never encountered, I know there were a couple dice pool games out already, not many, but I hadn't played any. Or no, actually, no, I did, I'm sorry, I take that back. I did play West End Games, Star Wars, but the dice.
Hold on, because I did ask you this a couple weeks ago, Pete.
Yes.
Let's see if Mark knows.
Okay.
Mark, do you know the first game that ever introduced dice pulling?
Was that the one with the weird name and the cards? No, I don't. Off my head, I'll guess. Shadowrun.
Incorrect, sir. It was Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
West
Yeah,
End
yeah.
Games, before they released Star Wars, released Ghostbusters, which was the Star Wars game was a variant of that system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's and again, I hadn't really played dice pooling games too much. I mean, I played that one a little bit, the Star Wars one, but I was like, when I was playing, I was like, wow, this is really, really cool. I was like, this is neat. This the way these dice work. It was something. It just felt so fresh.
Yeah.
We
That's
always want to
actually
roll
one
more
thing
dice.
about, you know, it's like the idea, oh, you don't have to do any math. You know, no math.
Mhm.
Which is why it's so funny to me that I've gone back to in the new game that you're doing math at very low level, but it's almost like I find it soothing to count numbers up to 12. It's a weird thing. The new game is not dice pooling. It's more like Yahtzee or King of Tokyo, and you do add up numbers a little tiny bit, but yet I find it soothing. It's the
Yeah.
weirdest thing.
No, there's nothing wrong with little math. I mean, most of the games we play have, there's some addition to it.
Yeah.
So then, okay, so were you involved with Werewolf or Wraith, or I think you did Wraith too, right?
Yeah, I wrote Werewolf, Wraith,
Okay.
and Changeling.
Change it.
But
Okay.
my business partner, Stuart Wick, did most of Mage, but I developed it.
Okay.
And obviously, because I had done Ars Magica back in the day, I've done a lot of thinking on Wizards and Magic games, but he did the heavy lifting on that and was the principal writer.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So I have a question. Okay, so I have if you don't mind, I have a mechanics question. Because we played the hell out of some Vampire and Werewolf. So in Vampire, the werewolves were like NPCs, right? And then in Werewolf, the vampires were like NPCs. And you could get the two to work together if somebody was playing a vampire and somebody was playing a werewolf, but it took a little work on the game master's part. What were they intentionally done as two separate games, or how'd
What
that play
happened is
out?
that I made this an insane promise to people that I will have a game out every year.
Okay.
And so the first 5 years of White Wolf doing the World of Darkness, it was a game a year, and it was freaking exhausting. And then supplements
Hmm.
so basically, once I committed to that, then the company, we grew in anticipation of having these lines, and to keep people employed and not go out of business, I had to keep going. And so, sorry, kids. How, so
We all have kids in this chat. Don't worry, we understand.
okay. Yeah, generally I love them around, but during an interview it's a little awkward.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically I didn't have time to make it all work together, which is why I'm so happy I took basically 2 years to plan out the whole meta game this time and the game systems and everything. So this time when it comes out the 5-year rollout,
Right.
already pre-works that you can play any character in any setting, use any card anywhere, and it's just very elegant.
Okay.
Whereas with this, we just didn't have time. It was a matter of, lack of time.
Right. Okay, I understand that. No, I just always wondered what the decision process behind that was, just because I figured we all talked about well, naturally people would want to play werewolves and vampires. I mean, it's kind of like when you play D&D, somebody wants to play an elf and somebody wants to play, a human and a dwarf but we made it work. It was not that hard to get them to work together. It really
Yeah.
wasn't that big a deal.
Well,
In
I
hindsight,
remember.
if I had redone it, I would obviously make some sort of intergroup agency, organization that fights against some other bad guys, and then you could play on either side.
Hmm.
Right.
The combination of the groups.
I always remember if we were playing werewolf, then somebody wanted to play a vampire, and if we were playing vampires, we were in a vampire adventure. Somebody else wanted to play a werewolf.
Well, to be fair, I mean, we would mix stuff together like crazy anyway. So
Yeah, we're mashers.
yeah, we mashed systems together. So we took
That-
we had the vampire and werewolf, and I think at one point I played a mummy. I think
In the cyberpunk world, right?
yeah,
We've done
okay.
that.
We put the setting in cyberpunk, so we
Wow.
cranked up the timeline. Um, and then when we got tired of hanging out in cyberpunk, we pulled in this game called Fringeworthy, which is a interdimensional role-playing game where you can go to other dimensions and stuff, kind of like Sliders, mixed with Stargate. So then we were traveling to different worlds, which was really interesting for the vampire characters. It made it a little rough on them at times. But so we mashed everything together anyway. So it was a very small task to get werewolf and vampire working together.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the least of our worries. But yeah, that was a good time. And then I think even later we started again and we were using the actual cyberpunk rules, but the vampire setting. So we went back to the cyberpunk setting, or cyberpunk setting mixed with vampire setting. Used all the vampire background and stuff, but then converted it over. So we did that a lot. That's why I was like really excited to talk to you because I was like, yeah, I played your game a lot. I played the fuck out of your game.
Yeah.
So it brought me many years of joy. Thank you very much.
Like I think after interviewing Mark, and then after we interview oh my God, yeah, Mike Pondsmith, our role playing interview bucket list is done, right?
Yeah, because last week we interviewed John about Fringeworthy stuff. Now we're interviewing Mark about our vampire experience, and then we're gonna get Mike Pondsmith with our cyberpunk. The trifecta will be reached. So that's good.
We've reached the pinnacle of our careers.
Right. So
Good
then
stuff.
another one of the things that I wanted to bring up, and I was sad to see it go. It was a show I really liked when the Kindred came out, and hold on, my damn screen is freezing. What is with this thing? And Mike, we got to get on your computer for the next interview because this thing, I don't know, it seems to get even worse.
I'm on it.
Okay,
I'm on my computer right now.
Yeah, I got you. So Kindred, tell me about Kindred. How did that come about? How did you work that deal? And then the show just disappeared after a season. What happened with that?
Mark Frankel, the star of the show, who played the prince, he died in a motorcycle accident.
Mm-hmm.
It was especially sad for me because he was like a gadget freak and kind of a geek in a way. Really, really good guy, and he and I got along super well. We used to hang out and do stuff together, and so it was pretty devastating. But without him, it was pointless to go on. He was the only good thing going, really. I mean, in terms of just longevity of the show, he's the charismatic center. So when he died, there had been a chance we would come back and get picked up again, because all these other networks are starting their own sort of vampire type shows, and so Fox was doing it. But really, the problem with the show is that it was at that time when TV was changing from that 70s and 80s style of A-Team kind of cheesy, fun TV show to like the more 90s and the 2000s where shows are much more event TV,
Right.
There's that shift, and it was Aaron Spelling who did Love Boat and Fantasy Island and 90210, and should have, for him, he was very much of the old school, and the guy he hired was very much the old school, and so over my strong objections, they insisted on having a cops as central characters. And I said, it's not about the humans, it's about the vampires.
Right.
Don't worry about, no one wants to see vampires. I mean, humans. It's about the vampires. They're like, no, vampires aren't, you got to have humans to pull the audience in. I go, no, you don't.
Right.
That's not where the demographics are.
Yeah,
and humans watching.
You're absolutely, and of course, they just wouldn't buy it. And I said, at least we're going to have humans, have the humans be part of their families. Have them be, they're protecting them, involve them in the intrigue. Don't have them be cops. If you're going to do it, and just, I was so adamant. I was banned from the set. I refused to sign the contract, but they went ahead with the show anyway, even without a contract. They daring us to sue them. It was just a very intense time, and
so they were like mafia. I mean, they bullied you into it, so you had to work with them even though you didn't want to and didn't even have a contract.
Yeah.
Jesus. So.
Yeah. No, it was a very it's basically fighting the whole time. But I made a lot of friends in Hollywood. Having a card that said producer, Spelling Entertainment was pretty awesome. Going around town with your agent and your manager and having every nightclub open to you, and
that's pretty cool.
It was like I understood why Gary Gygax got lost in Hollywood there.
Wow.
I really did, because I did, and after a year or less, I think I actually moved to San Francisco and just started flying down, for the week, selling shows and doing movies and continuing my career in Hollywood. But then even after that, after a while, I was like, no. Hollywood is way too seductive for a man like me.
So
way too seductive. Way too seductive.
So where was I going to go with this? So then the show kind of died out, and then you said you went on to do some movie work.
Yeah.
Was it more vampire type stuff, or was it other things?
No, I was pitching all kinds of different movies
Okay.
and writing screenplays on spec, doing some rewrite work, trying to get jobs with doing interviews for getting on TV shows. I honestly sort of assumed that was going to go full Hollywood. That's kind of why I wrote The World of Darkness. The whole goal was to be a movie director, is to go to Hollywood, write, direct, and I
Right.
had it all mapped out. I was going to do it, and then I just found out that my personality type is that at that time is that I was just too much of a party guy, to be able to make effective use of my time. I needed to be a place where, it was a little less, just Hollywood's very, Hollywood Hills, parties every night. I mean, it's nuts. It gets crazy. It's amazing, but it's
So,
crazy.
so Mike, would it be fair to say that it's probably a good thing that I never went into acting or into the Hollywood stuff because I probably wouldn't have survived it?
Yeah, I'd be doing a
Yeah,
show alone right now.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be returning my calls.
No, I
Bastard.
seriously, I've thought about that many times. I'm like, man, I probably could have been a good actor if I'd, pursued it and stuff. And then but then I keep thinking, it's like, yeah, but if I went into that life, it probably would have consumed me because I did enough of that without being famous. And
Yeah, you
I,
didn't need to be famous to be you.
I think I would have, I think I
And
would have
what's
been
funny to me
chewed up
is
and
now,
spit out.
looking back, is I'll have friends go, "Hey, remember that party up at so and so's house, and you did that crazy thing off the roof, and then we talked about this, and then we met this actor, and then we met this movie director," and I'm like, I have no memory of that.
Right,
Nope.
right. No.
Like I have like, I just went to so many parties that they all blend into each other, and I vaguely remember meeting certain actors and directors and saying and doing certain things, but pretty much they all blend in those nights, all blend into each other, and it's kind of a waste now.
Yeah.
It's I have, no memory.
Right.
Like even Burning Man, I went 9 years. I don't remember a
Wow.
whole lot. It's not because of what you're thinking it is. Well, it could be part of it. It's because so much time was spent there.
Right.
I mean, weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and of really intense activity, and it just kind of blends together.
Right, right. Yep. Oh, that was what I wanted to say. Okay, so I just remember. I just want to say, how does it feel to be kind of vindicated that your thought process on what works for TV shows has turned out to be true, and that's what everybody's doing now. Everybody is
Yeah.
doing the very serious TV shows and movies where it's focused on the characters it should be focused on. Um, you know,
I must admit, I'm kind of proud that there's so much vampire stuff on TV and in movies, from Twilight to True Blood, that are clearly, they have my books sitting around, the
yep.
creators, and in the case of many of them, they played the games, at least the live action. Stephanie Meyer used to be a LARPer, I guess, whatever.
Yes.
But anyway, so part of me is like
It's
really
it's
proud. Oh,
very
yeah.
it's very clear that Stephanie Meyer was a vampire player.
Were there any? Have there been any recent, or in the past movies or TV shows, other than, of course, the one we just talked about, but that have actually asked you to consult on, I mean, even in recent years?
No, not really.
Bastards.
Yeah.
Sons
So,
of bitches.
Yeah, it hasn't helped me at all, and pretty much forgotten, because it's kind of the geek culture. Even though we're gone mainstream as far as comic books, role playing is still considered too geek to go mainstream.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
So yeah, they're kind of ignoring us still, and we're too geeky. And I don't get it. Why is comic books so much better? It doesn't make sense to
No,
me. But
It
We
doesn't.
will
know-
have our day. We will have our
Well,
day.
it's amazing to me because it turns out that there's so many celebrities and there's so many people who were role players, and they actually are very clear about this, and they go on record saying, I can do this, and I do this today, and I am who I am today because I was a role player. I mean, you take like Stephen Colbert, Vin Diesel. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that are big names that were role players, and they just Scott Sigler says he owes his writing to being a role player. I mean,
Yeah.
it's clear. It's a lot of influence from that
Absolutely.
field.
Josh Wheaton.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. Yeah, Josh Wheaton was a role player.
Yeah, a lot of I think it clearly is like for your kids, like the best thing you can do for them is teach them to be creative, and with my kids, I take it a step further. Like I figure anyone can teach my kids how to do math and how to spell and all that. Of course, I'm constantly pushing that and teaching them, but what I really focus on is creativity.
Yep.
And so basically, they live in a role-playing game full-time. Their childhood is basically a full-time role-playing. It's immersive LARP. They each have 30, 40 different costumes they can change in. They're constantly playing characters. Bedtime, they tell me stories. Every bedtime story is usually interactive, and I'm trying to get it. I figured what I can give them better than any other daddy could is I can teach them how to be creative. Because
Right.
role-playing taught me how to be creative. I'm a very, very, very creative person because my childhood and teenage years are spent completely immersed in these fictional worlds.
And
A lot of people don't understand this, and Pete, I may be taking words right out of your mouth right now. We may be on the same page on this, but so many people don't understand how much of a problem solver you become from just having all that experience role playing. You constantly will keep hitting at a problem from different angles and not giving up because that's what role playing teaches us.
Right, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I was gonna say that I saw your TEDx speech that you gave, Mark. When I was doing your research, I was looking at what can I find out about Mark.
Oh, why don't you send that to me?
I will. I'll send it to you. Sorry, I didn't think about it. But so Mark, you were talking about all the good things that role playing does for an individual, and how it can benefit you in life and in your professional career. And it's one of the things I've been to conventions and I've been on panels talking about the benefits of role playing outside of actually just enjoying the game. And I credit my ability to be a project manager. So I'm a project manager. I credit my ability to be a project manager to role playing because all the things that I do as a project manager it's all skills I built role playing. It's like because as a project manager, your job is to see into the future and plan for things, and then when things happen, react, and be able to like Mike said, problem solve. So and I go even further with it in that all using Excel and using Word and half the programs I use at work I learned because I had to do that for role playing, for making character sheets, and for setting up adventures and making maps and doing artwork. All these things came from role playing.
That's some next level shit. That's some next level DM shit right there.
Right. And it was literally practice for half my professional career.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think there's very few jobs that role playing wouldn't help you do better. It's certainly what the most creative hobby that there is. Maybe some woodworkers or artists, are more creative, but I mean, role playing. It's kind of like movies are kind of the queen of all art because movies combine music and visuals and acting and stories all together. Well, in some ways, role playing is the king of all art because you're not only not only combines all these things, but you're doing it all yourself.
Right. Yeah. You're doing everything.
Or you're the one doing it. So it's a much more important and key thing in your life. You never. I may have forgotten all those nights in LA. But I don't think I've forgotten a single role-playing moment I've ever had in my life.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't forgotten a single one.
Right. Absolutely. So then let's make sure we stay on track here on time here, because we talk to people. We love talking to people, and then we go hour and a half into it. And it's just like, oh my God, no one's gonna watch an hour and a half of interview. At least that's what our YouTube stats are telling us. So you moved on. You did a game called Democracy. You did it's a board game, right?
Yeah.
And was there some I'm trying to remember. Was there some kind of controversy over that or something?
Yeah, it was delayed, and there's apparently some group on somewhere online that considers themselves the guardians of Kickstarter.
Oh boy.
And so a couple of the backers who were especially angry got in there, and they all started sort of doing this harassment, basically. So I had gotten ill, actually, and I tell everyone, by the way, never do a Kickstarter by yourself. And that was my mistake. And that's actually why I've invested all this money now, starting a full-time company with all these employees and forking out all this money so that it will never happen again, you know? But
Right.
basically, I got sick. You know, I was in the hospital, and I couldn't communicate with them for months. And I was told by my doctor, "Do not stress yourself out." And so I didn't. And they got very furious. And I tried to appease them, and you know, but you know, of course, called me a liar and blah blah blah. So you know, I had a very bad experience. They had a very bad experience. But you know, in the end, the game came out. You know, everyone. I think everyone got it.
Right.
You know, I have people taking care of that now, thankfully.
But what pisses me off about that is that so I did a Kickstarter, so I know some of the trials and tribulations of it. Mine might not have been as ambitious as yours. Mine was basically a card game, so I didn't have as many moving parts. And fortunately, I'd been working on it for a while, so it was almost done when I did my Kickstarter. There was very little for me to do at that point. I was just trying to raise money to finish it up and get it out to people. But what I found out on a small scale, which I'm sure you found out on a very large scale, was that people who back Kickstarters, and this is sort of like the ugly side of Kickstarter, in that they don't understand what it is to put a game together. They think that, you know, it's like, well, I put my money in, I paid for it. I paid my $25. Why isn't this big thing that you're doing done? And, you know, it's so easy.
Understand, like, I had to print in China, and the company, Panda, let me repeat the name, Panda, suck. They gave me one guy, and then he was worthless. And they gave me another guy, he was worthless, and finally gave me his brother, and he was the worst of all.
Oh my!
Didn't respond to emails for weeks at a time. Didn't fulfill any promises.
Oh man!
I mean, literally, I would actually I tried writing him a letter every day, but then after the fifth day, my blood pressure would go to 200 over 150. I mean, literally, it was insane. I was just so. I have never been so angry in my entire life. I was just absolutely raging angry. And I'm not an angry person. I'm just not. But dealing with them was the single worst experience of my entire life. And I've dealt with world leaders in the middle of a war. And I was completely calm, you know.
Hashtag Panda sucks.
I'm completely calm. No problem at all. No problem.
Right.
I've been held up at gunpoint. Completely calm. No problem. But this just drove me nuts. Absolutely that crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
So, fortunately, I have a guy now who takes care of all of that.
Cool. I read, and I don't even know where I came across this, but that when I came across the problems with that you were having with democracy, I saw somewhere, and it might have been on your page, some examples of the conversations that you had with people, and you know, somebody would say, well, the game is late, and you'd go, well, I'd like to explain why that is. Like, we don't, you know, and basically, without going into too much detail, what it boiled down to was, we don't care, you suck. You know, and it's just like, well, you know, the guy is here, you asked him a question.
Most of the guys talking about Reddit, most of those people weren't even backers. They were just coming on there for a little fun. So one of the people came on board. They found out. They searched it out, and they found out like most of them weren't even backers. They were just on there having sport.
Oh,
you know?
Trolls.
It was just like one of those things, you know. I guess to them I was a big name, and they had an excuse to pull me down, and so they did, and that's fine, you know. I made a huge mistake by trying to do a Kickstarter by myself. And picking the wrong company, and that's mine. That's all on me.
Yeah.
So I should take a little flack for that, definitely. But Does that mean I support trolls?
No.
No.
And it's also
You know,
lessons learned, you know?
that's a level of loserness that I think is just horrible, and it's led to this horrible things dividing gamers like Gamergate and all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
These stupid arguments about nothing, and you know what? Let's play games. You know,
Right. It hurts the industry as a whole.
let's play games. Like
Yep.
we have the best hobby in the world. I think I really do. I mean, it's so creative and wonderful and fun on so many levels. We have so much choice. Let's play games. Why are we? Why do you even have the time to attack people online?
Seriously.
You
You should spend that time playing games.
Yeah,
So-
it makes no sense to me.
So what is how does democracy work? I mean, what is? And I'm sure it's still on sale, right? You can still buy it.
Yeah, no, it's available around everywhere. We have, we still have some copies left. It's selling pretty well. What it is it's basically sort of, I've always loved diplomacy. But the problem with diplomacy is you lose your friends and it takes 7 hours.
Right.
So my number one goal was to make a version of that kind of negotiation game that could be played in like an hour or 2 hours.
Okay.
And also so that I figured out if you make enough deals and break enough deals in every minute or every half hour, that you won't actually break a friendship because it just becomes part of the game that you're making and breaking these mini deals all the time.
Right.
And so that was the goal. And it was basically, though, also me working for the president of Georgia and explaining it to the members of his party and the people who ran the country how I thought democracy worked, and them saying, negotiation? No, we don't do that. We won the election. We run the country. Screw them. We're going to crush them. And then my friends who were all in the opposition at the time, now they're in power, and them saying, no, that's not democracy. Democracy is once we get power, we're going to kick them out and we're going to make them suffer. And I was trying to say, no, democracy is finding compromise. It's finding the middle. And it's what I despair the most about American politics is that everyone seems to have forgotten that's what, the kind of politics that made America great. Sure, you argue and fight, but in the end, you make a damn deal. You make a deal. And so the game is about making a deal.
Yep.
It's about how I see democracy actually working. And having worked in politics my whole life, I think I kind of captured it pretty well.
Cool. Yeah.
It really feels like you're in politics.
Awesome.
Or so politicians told me.
So definitely check that out. And then, so then you went on. Then you went on to do another Kickstarter, which I'm assuming went much better. And I helped. I tried to help spread the word on this when it was going. I Am Zombie. It looks really cool to me. I haven't gotten a copy of it yet, but or I didn't. I forgot to.
PDF should be out any day. It's incredibly hard to make it because it's not laid out like a normal game. Each page spread is a full color, integrated graphic design. It's a unique sort of piece of art. So all like 300 plus pages are all unique art pieces with the text integrated into the art.
Wow.
So it's an insane project, all done by one artist, and pretty much all written by yours truly, with the help of a number of pretty famous people. C.A. Suleiman, who did the award-winning new version of Mummy, is on board.
Cool.
Kevin Wilson, who did Arkham Horror and Descent from the fame of Fantasy Flight Games. He's on board for the board game aspect.
Okay.
And we're using sort of board game type rules in the role-playing game. And the board game is sort of like a role-playing game, the same way Arkham Horror has that role-playing game feel. So we're trying to get, that quality of a board game and a role-playing game using cards and dice so that you actually have a real gameplay, not pretend, dice rolls and such, but actually real decisions that really matter so that when you win a victory, you really feel like your decisions made that victory happen.
Wow. That's cool. So what is okay? So you're playing as does everybody play a zombie, or can you play different things, or what's the premise?
You play an intelligent zombie set in the days before the the final outbreak. So just like World of Darkness is our world, but there's secret things going on. But this is a science fiction based world, unlike World of Darkness. So
Okay.
the next game is Bleach, where you play one of the paramilitary guys trying to kill the zombies and knock them out, who have secret bases in Antarctica. And then we go into space, and we have the alien abduction people who are coming to Earth and spying on Earth for the aliens. They're abducted humans themselves, who are clones of people taken from Earth.
Huh.
And then it gets just wilder and wilder and wilder from there, until eventually it becomes my famous game that was never published in some ways, Exile.
Okay.
It becomes a sort of solar, this great space opera game set in our solar system. So Mars is not what it seems. Venus is not what it seems. There's a war going on around Jupiter and Saturn. There's all this stuff going on that we don't know about on Earth because we can't see it, and all our big telescopes, of course, are compromised.
Right. It's being controlled by somebody. Don't
By
point it
somebody.
there.
Yes.
Right.
Who are only doing it for our own good.
Right. Of course. Right. So the intelligent zombies. So basically, there's
Toxic.
Okay. Huh?
They're called toxic.
Okay. So the toxic before the break. You said the final breakout. So they're living amongst us without people knowing it.
Well, they tend to live under our cities. Basically, only after purges, which is their monthly sort of ritual where they cleanse themselves of their collected odium, are they capable of passing for human. So there's only a few days a month they can interact with us without, causing an outbreak. And if they cause an outbreak, then they've broken the accord, the nuke accord, and so then they can be put in prison or even killed by Bleach. But as long as they don't do that, they're okay. So they tend to stay underground in these hospices beneath the cities and in old missile silos and other places they can kind of hide out in and kind of stay concealed. But every once in a while they kind of leave. But it's very difficult for them to travel. Travel in this game is very much an adventure because you can't just jump on a plane. Those metal detectors in the airport are actually odium detectors.
Oh.
And so you can't actually fly. So you need to sort of find your own clever ways. And also certain cities are called quarantine cities, like Detroit is a quarantine city. And so when they release you in Detroit, they tag you. And if you try to escape, a drone and then a helicopter and carloads of bleach will track you and bring you back. So it's very much like sort of reverse vampire in a way, in that you're kind of the you're the lowest of the low.
Okay, so in other words, the government is allowing you to exist. Could they crush you, or is it that they don't because there's just too many of you?
Because they tried to crush the hospices before, and the great Tuku who lived beneath the hospices, one of them rose up, survived the underground nuclear bomb tests. All the underground nuclear bomb tests, by the way, were actually ways in which they wanted to get rid of the hospices.
Oh.
But one who didn't kill the Utuku rose up in something called the Albuquerque incident. And ever since then, they've come to a compromise. We won't kill you outright, and please don't kill us outright.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's like an agreement, an alliance.
War,
yeah,
it's a Cold War.
Gotcha. Okay.
They don't want to destroy each other, and so they're kind of having this uneasy thing. And but it's also very much like a Indiana Jones feel because you play all over the world. We basically in the book have pages and pages of maps of the world showing different transit routes and smuggling routes and tramp freighters going here and there for you to travel around the world. And we describe places all over the world so you really have this feeling that you can sort of go all over the world.
Okay.
Everywhere but North Korea, of course.
So if you are if you're playing one of the toxic, you're basically as a character, you're free to travel everywhere. It's just you have to do a little bit of wrangling and stuff. But if you want your characters to go to France to handle something, you can. Yeah.
I mean, it's just very difficult to do it.
Now,
so
what kind of adventures do the toxic have? Like, what can they get into?
Hey guys, I'm online. You gotta leave.
so, so
Oh my God. Of
it's
course, they choose now to have a fight.
oh, I
Oh,
know,
well,
I know. My kid's the same way. She doesn't. You can't explain to her that you just can't do that right now.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
wrong age.
So what kind of adventures can the toxic like? What kind of adventure would a toxic? I'm playing a toxic, and I'm living in, say, Baltimore, where I'm based out of. What kind of adventures would I get into? Like, what is there for me to do as a character as a toxic?
Yeah, I mean, every month, of course, there is a purges, and it's not only this ritual of cleansing, but it's a political event. You're voting on who will be in the deacon council.
Right.
You're basically everyone who is a skag owner. A skag is a dumb zombie, and most zombies are dumb. But if you train them, they're much smarter than the average zombie in a movie. So you can train them slightly to be your guardian or your servant or whatever. And so if you that's basically how you become by being a slave owner essentially.
Right.
You become sort of a person of privilege and power. So there is this whole political stuff going on, but also you're trying to avoid bleach. Money is usually very hard to come by. It's not like you normally so you tend to be on the low life end of things and the bad part of town. And so you may be part of a group that, you run a bunch of these trained skags as homeless people who basically beg for money and you collect the profits.
Oh,
But another gang is doing the same, and so that's why the junkies and always the bad part of town always looks so bad is that, well, they're actually very well trained zombies who don't bite you. They want to, but they don't.
also, in other words, when the guy's walking the street, like, man, that guy looks like a zombie. It's like, because he is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He is a zombie. He's a skag, and so that you have all the typical role playing stuff where you can, you're basically trying to, get ahead,
Right.
and most toxic don't survive long. It's a very very dangerous life. Most die within the first little while, you
Okay.
know.
And is it
But
something you catch? Is it something? Is it like a disease that you catch and you become one?
yeah, usually you start playing the game in an outbreak. So this is unlike in a zombie movie. There's one outbreak, it's the end of the world. What really happens in this world is that there's an outbreak, and then basically bleach comes in, establishes a quarantine, and you're stuck inside in
Okay.
this little town that's having an outbreak, and you got to survive it. But of course, inevitably, you get bitten, or you just get thing, and then you are converted. But you're one of the lucky ones who is a toxic, not a dumb skag.
Okay. All right. So would it be like, Okay. So
So that's
here's
the
here's a thought. So let's say you've got Rocco is running a gang, and he's a toxic, and he's got a bunch of his skags, right? And he's making moves, and it's gonna get it's like you'd have the two guys talking and be like, that Rocco, he's getting out of hand. He's gonna get bleach on us. We gotta take care of him and his skags. It's
yeah.
like bleach is gonna come down here and kill all of us. They're not to discriminate between who's Rocco's guys and who's our guys. I mean
Yeah,
that kind of
exactly,
thing.
exactly right. You don't want to be blamed for someone else. And what's the best way to get rid of someone is to set them up to bleach and make bleach think that they just broke the accord.
Right.
So yeah, you basically it's very very dog eat dog world. I mean, if you go to a badly run refugee camp or a very very poor country or a big city where people are really struggling, people are ruthless.
Oh yeah.
They'll do all kinds of scams, and this is really sort of inspired by that. I wanted to sort of portray, what it's like to have to survive, and I mean, and you can become extraordinarily powerful. You can. It's just a struggle to get there. A real, real difficult struggle.
Now
And
are there zombie zombie powers and stuff? I mean, like when I know you're saying
oh yeah,
powerful as
there's
in like
different strains, which are basically different forms of it. There's these cartels, which are basically how you they're organizations that kind of are like clubs. So there's like the old men's gentlemen's club that's
hmm
based in what they call a haunted house. So their headquarters is like literally the haunted house in the neighborhood.
okay.
And then you have rackets, which are like jobs. So in this world, you actually have jobs. Like I am an ex-marshal. I clean up crime scenes and hide them from bleach. Or I'm
Okay.
Z Patrol. I enforce the law. or or I'm a death dancer, I entertain. So
Okay.
and all these things in the game are cards, and that's another innovative thing is that you can use a character sheet, but really the game is designed to be that you just pick 5 cards and then you can play the game.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
And then as you go up in experience, you add more cards, and eventually you can get up to 10, 15 cards. And so these are different tropes. So you could be a cowboy, karate expert, ex-cop, and then you have everyone has their own diary, and in the diary you keep track of all your contacts and everything else. So you still do writing, of course, if you want to. I guess you don't have to, but you probably should. It's a role-playing game. You have a diary that keeps track, but basically all the mechanical stuff is on your cards. So it's very, very simple to sort of play. And then when you take a damage, you just flip the card over, and not to the cold side from the warm side, and that indicates you've taken a wound.
Huh.
So you don't have to keep, except for your deep character stuff, you don't really need a pencil, paper. You basically have it all there in front of you.
Oh, sweet. It's very, very cool. Very inventive. I'm going to have to, you said it's going to be on the market in the next couple days? Like that for people?
Well, I mean, for the backers, the PDFs get them, and then I guess it'll be on drive-through soon after that. So,
Sweet.
yeah.
I'll definitely have to
You
get a
let
copy
us
of
know as soon as it's ready and for sale, and like we'll just we'll put it out there too.
All right, thanks. I appreciate that. I'm really excited about it. I really feel like role-playing is struggling right now.
Yeah.
And I just love role playing just so very much. I love all gaming, but for role playing for me is just such a big deal, and it's just sad for me that not more teenagers are playing it. It's a lot less. The industry is way smaller than it used to be. Its time has come and gone, and so I really want to find a way to make role playing simple and easy that anyone can pick it up. Which is why we're making it so that the role playing rules are free inside the board game.
Oh.
And then you can just pick up the board game, play it as a board game, learn the rules as a board game, and then one guy's looking at the rules and go, hey, we could do a role-playing game as well.
Oh,
And here's
cool.
a free scenario online. And it tells us step to step with it. Let's try that next time. They go, yeah. And then they start playing it as a role-playing game. I'm trying
like
to
gateway
trick
drug.
people in a role-playing. That's my goal.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. I like it.
Yeah. Later this year, I'm gonna start working. I'm as soon as I can, but later this year, I'm gonna definitely get more into it. I have a role playing game that I have mostly designed. I want to finish it, but I've put it off for other things like this show, and I've decided that I really want to get it out, and I think this year I'm gonna put some serious effort into it. And one of the aspects that I want to have for it is I want to have a huge free portion to it. I want to basically going to make it so that you don't ever have to really buy the game. You can play it for free for the most part, because I have a job. I'm not, and I'm not going to leave that job to become a role playing designer. Because I like my job and I make pretty good money at it, so I don't really need that. I mean, I wouldn't mind the extra income for the work that I'm doing. I do this out of the love of the game, and I want to share it with as many people as I can.
Yeah.
So I'm doing something where you can give me money if you want to. If you want the physical product, of course, you'll have to buy that. But as for the electronic or the paper version of it, like if you want to print it yourself, for the most part, you'll be able to play the game completely for free.
Maybe Patreon would be a good
I like
idea
how
for that.
Pathfinder makes available so much of their material for free online. I think it's a good plan, and we're going to try and do something like that ourselves. Obviously though, my artist Mark Kelly, who's put in literally years of work now on this. Well, not years, but a year and some months.
Right.
The amount of art he's done, he definitely is looking for something.
Yeah, well, see,
So-
I'm probably gonna have to do a Kickstarter to pay for stuff that goes into it. But once that's paid for,
Then, yeah, sure.
it's
sure.
been paid for. So
I think our goal is going to be that you can get a lot of it for free. But then if you want the extra, give us a little bit, please.
yeah, actually, to keep the machine rolling.
Right.
Yep.
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 And
All right.
and I'll apologize for my forced Comcast sabbatical. I literally think that maybe their entire server or something went down because it literally felt like the amount of time having to wait for a huge system to reboot, and the cable even started coming back slowly and slowly, and then I was like, I looked at the router and it was finally like, oh, online! I ran back into the room.
Yeah, if you hadn't noticed, Mike got kicked out for a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so Mark, where can we find all your goodness? Where do we go to find everything that is?
Well, I believe makebelievegames.com should be back up any day now. So I am trying not to be involved in anything like that. I'm trying to, since I'm paying for it, I'm trying to keep focused on the creative.
Okay.
But that should be back up. Also, if you're interested in I Am Zombie, just friend me on Facebook, and I'll introduce you to our private secret group called the Deacon Council,
Oh, cool.
where we have several hundred people interacting on a daily basis, just basically developing the game as a group. So this is a game that's clearly benefited from people interacting on a daily basis with the ideas, and it's really neat, actually. I've never experienced anything like this before, working with such a large group of people. But it's been a fantastic experience,
So
basically.
really, I've thought about doing that, and I've been a little scared because I'm worried that I'll get a lot of in-group arguments and stuff like that. So it's been good. You've had a good experience with that.
No, absolutely no problems. The Deacon Council have been absolutely lovely, completely supportive, and it's just strange how the democracy people were so like this, and then the Kickstarter people are all on there, and just entirely lovely. So yeah, I think it's just a weird alchemy of the online world,
And you know what, though? There's something to be said for what they say. There's no bad publicity. If somebody is spreading bad word about your name, you're still going to hit some people that you wouldn't have hit if they had not spread your word. And then those people may come and see, oh, I don't know what the hell that person was talking about. This looks really cool, or whatever,
Yeah.
I sure hope so, or my kids aren't going to college.
All right, so look, everybody, make sure that you check out makebelievegames.com and find Mark. If you're a friend of the show, if I haven't done it yet, by the time this video goes out, I will have done it. MythWits will have liked Mark's page, so you can always find it from our Facebook page. Just go down to where it shows all our likes. And the link will also be in the video. So if you're watching this on YouTube or from our Facebook page, or I'm sorry, from our website from MythWits.com, you can look right down below the show. Where's that mic? It's right yeah,
right
there you go.
there. I think it's on this or somewhere. You can always hit more, see more. Right there,
and
then
just click right there. Yep, and then and of course, make sure you buy all of Mark's stuff. He knows what he's doing. I mean, if you ever heard of the little game Vampire or played it, you know the talent we're talking about.
And most of all, keep role-playing alive.
Yeah.
Keep someone role-playing, at least one new person every month. Let's keep it alive, folks. Let's keep it alive.
It's a great hobby.
Role playing is the future. Let them roll them and lead the way.
All right. So Mike,
all the creativity inside. All right, that's it.
Are you done? You done? Okay. All right. So Mike,
can you now? Huh?
Mike, let's do a game real quick.
All right. We're gonna do a quick game. It's I'm even doing it old school. See, yeah, pen and paper, baby.
Pen and paper. Right.
Don't
All
look
right.
at that too much. Don't freeze that. Okay, so we are gonna do, because Mark has said that he is knowledgeable about many games, role-playing games that are and have been on the market. Yeah, look, I mean, Pete is pretty good. I will say that I'm very impressed. I've always been impressed about all the different companies and games that Pete knows about. So I've developed this game. It's just your RPG knowledge, and occasionally I like to twist the rules around a little bit. So here's what we're gonna do. I will ask one of you a question. I'll roll a tetrahedral random number generator to see who goes first, and then I will ask that person a question, and you get it right, then you get a point. You get it wrong, you get nothing. So After you've accumulated a couple of points, and I've got about maybe 15, 20 of these down the list. After you've accumulated a couple points, you can throw back some of your points to steal if the other person gets it wrong or doesn't know the answer.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna just put a little bit of stretch, what is that, spread in there. So all right, here we go. Seeing who goes first, and I'd just like to point out that this is my my finger spelling number die. I don't know if you can see that there, but it's got hands for the numbers. Anyway, all right, so
that's very hand die.
What do we say?
Get it?
Hand die, yes. All right, high number goes first, rolling for Mark first, and that's a 1, Mark. Oh, jeez. And Pete gets a 10.
Wow.
This is not a foreshadowing, I hope. Okay, so Pete.
Yes, sir.
The first game on the list is, and again, tell me the publisher.
Oh,
After the Bomb.
Palladium.
That is correct.
That is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle plugin.
All right. And, Mark, here's yours for a point. Angel.
Oh, gosh.
Angel.
Margaret Weiss Productions?
Close.
Oh!
Eden Studios. All right, Peter.
Yeah, I thought it was Margaret Weiss too.
Conan the RPG.
The original?
I think so. You give me either one, and whatever one this is. But if it's the wrong one, you can give me 2, I guess. But I believe
okay,
it was
because I don't know either one.
Okay, good.
Let me think. Hold on, give me a second.
Hey, I better not hear this.
No. Shit. The original might have been a TSR. I'm gonna go with TSR.
That is incorrect.
Right. Okay.
It is Mongoose Publishing.
Okay, that's the later one. All right.
All right. Mark, your game is the Fantasy Trip.
Fantasy Trip. What?
Oh my gosh! Wow.
I never even heard of that one.
Oh.
Mark
God.
seems like he's heard of it, but he's having trouble.
I'm just gonna guess. This is not right, but I'm gonna guess Avalon Hill. 'Cause I have no clue.
That was a very good guess, but it is Metagaming Concepts.
Oh my gosh.
Under Steve Jackson's writing.
That's got to be a really old, obscure game.
Oh, Steve Jackson, come on, man. That's probably pre-GURPS. All right, here we go.
This is actually one of his micro games.
Oh, could have been. Yeah.
All right, here we go. This is for Pete. Gray Ranks.
I ain't gonna waste any time. I have no clue.
All right. Jason Morningstar.
Never heard of
Look,
it.
someone out there watching this was calling you like, it's Jason Morningstar! It's Jason Morningstar!
Of course, I played the fuck out of that game.
Yeah, right. Good for you. Okay, here we go. And these are not all, obscure. I did not look for the most obscure ones. Okay, I just went down the list. Mutant Chronicles. We are at Mark. Mutant Chronicles.
Palladium?
I'm sorry, that is incorrect.
Oh, gosh.
Target Games.
Oh.
All right, you need to get a little more mainstream here, man. Just a little bit.
I don't know. I'm going to spell this for you, Pete. Quags. Q-A-G-S.
Oh, shit. Okay, I should know this one. Damn it. Quags. Okay, this one is a little mainstream. Well, at least mainstream enough. Quags. Damn it. Who published Quags? Make-believe games. I have no idea. I have no idea.
Hex Entertainment.
Crap.
All right, Mark. I think I got one for you.
Oh, I hope so.
Powers and Perils.
Ooh, I know that one.
SPI.
Can I steal this one? No.
Steal it.
Yeah, man.
Right.
If you want to throw it in there, go
I'll
ahead.
throw it in there just before we. That was an Avalon Hill game, I think.
All right. Yes, Pete gets the point. And
That
now
was,
we
I
go
think
to-
that was their only actual role-playing game.
No, they had RuneQuest.
Did they? You're right. You're right. They did have RuneQuest. That's right. Yes, you're right.
All right, so now we are at Pete. Mutants and Masterminds.
Oh, that's Green Ronin, right?
That is correct.
Damn, not bad.
I'm telling you, he's like a freaking idiot savant. Okay, I right now, you contact me. All right, what is it? Just studio187.com. I don't care, or whatever it is. What is it? How do they contact us again?
Mythwits@gmail.com.
Mythwits@gmail.com. You contact me to Mike, and you tell me if you want to go up against Pete. All right? Because I can do this all day. All right. All right. So let's see. Back to Mark. All right. Mark, I swear to God, this was just next on the list. I said, some of these are, and again, I really hope you don't get this wrong. This would be the equivalent of, what do you call? I'm not going to say. All right. Mark, your game is Trinity.
Trinity. Oh. Yeah, I'm totally blanking. I know it, but I'm totally blanking. I don't know why. I have a.
All right, Mark.
Yeah.
Trinity was published by a small indie RPG company called White Wolf Publishing.
I thought it was White Wolf.
That was their space game, right?
You know why I'm blanking is that this is when we had a little problems, and my exile was canceled, and they rushed out Trinity.
Oh,
Mark,
oh,
Mark,
Aeon.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying here. Come on.
Aeon, the MTV sued us because of Aeon Flux, and I never read it, never picked it up, never looked at it. I've never seen it.
Oh, gosh. All right, here we go. We are at Pete,
yes.
and your game is Lunar the Silver Star.
Okay, well, you know that idiot part? The idiot part of Savant? That's where this is coming in, 'cause I've never heard of it.
That's okay. Mark, I will give you a posthumous point if you think you can steal this.
Okay. What was the name again?
Lunar the Silver Star.
No idea.
All right. This was Game Arts, and also there were two publishers under the list. It was Working Designs or Game Arts, which
Wow.
many were in transition.
Okay.
I don't know. All right, but back to you, Mark. Terra Primate.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No idea.
Yeah, I don't know either. I can picture the cover. It's like a Planet of the Apes type game.
That would be the good people at Eden Studios.
Eden Studio. Yep.
Ah.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, my friends. We have a few more left.
Okay.
Two more left, actually.
Two more.
I want to get Mark a point here. Come on, Mark. We got to do this, all right?
If I didn't get Trinity, then obviously I'm misfiring on
I got to find something to kick your
I
ass.
still owned the company at that time. I still owned the company.
That's funny.
I'll never live this down, ever.
All right, here we go. Mark, Twerps, Twerps.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I should know this. I'm gonna guess Steve Jackson. I don't think it's right though.
No, that would be Lou, and I'm gonna get ready to drink.
Oh
Because
yeah,
Lou. I'm gonna say Zachi.
Zachi.
Zachi. Will we going with Zachi, or am I taking a drink? I don't know.
It's Zachi.
Okay.
I know him. I used to know him.
I got it right. I'm taking a drink anyway. All right, my friends. Pete,
Yes, sir.
this is our last one. The World of Indiana Jones.
That's SPI, I think.
Is
No.
that your final answer?
Yeah, that's my final answer. I don't...
Mark?
West End Games.
Oh, Mark!
Steals it.
I'm going to give you 2 points, Mark, but unfortunately, Pete did have 3.
Ah.
Still the reigning like idiot savant for role playing games. Seriously, contact me if you think you can beat Pete. Yeah, because God knows Pete beats himself. So.
Oh God.
You could try with rule mechanisms. You have to name the game the rule mechanism is from. Now
Ooh.
that I think I could do.
Oh,
okay.
Wow. Okay, I'll play that game.
But that's a game designer definitely thing there. You know, that's pretty high level stuff.
Yeah.
Remembering mechanics.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, Mike. Another great game by the great Kafis, our tricksy game master. Thanks again to Mark for being on the show. We really appreciate you taking the time to come on. We had, as our fans know, this is not we didn't do this live on a Monday night like we normally do, which is perfectly fine. It gives us a chance to have a night off. We'll have Mike. This is going to be, I think, 2 weeks from the time this is recorded. We'll get it up, and we'll get to take a break, which is good because we're going to TotalCon that Thursday. So we can spend our time prepping for TotalCon, not for the show.
Hey, we got one in the bank.
Right. Yes, we have one in the bank. So, Mark, again, thanks for coming on. Everybody, make sure you go to makebelievegames.com and friend Mark on Facebook. I will have the links below. And, Mark, thanks a lot. I'm going to run the show closer now. You've just enjoyed the MythWits. Oh, Mike's face is on. Join us for a live broadcast next week and every week, Mondays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a chat room that you can ask any question of our guests. If you miss our live show, you can always catch the encore episodes and the podcast version at our website and on iTunes. We hope you had a blast. Make sure to check out our website at mythwits.com, and of course visit us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram will be up soon, and iTunes. Do the like, follow, subscribe thing wherever it's appropriate, and please give us a review on iTunes. It's way more important than you think. MythWits is a Studio187.com production and is protected under attribution, non-commercial, no derivatives, Creative Commons work. You can download and share it with whoever you like, just don't change it and don't try to make money with it. Make sure to check out Studio187.com for more cool stuff like Rogue Chess. See you all next week.
Woo!